industry. I'm talking of one great guy, Mr. Michael Muite. He's a mentor, he's a speaker, he's a board advisor, and he's a principal solution engineer in Oracle. And he's been in Oracle for more than 14 years now. Without wasting much time, ladies and gentlemen, can you kindly help me introduce Mr. Michael Muite? Thank you so much, Mr. Michael Muite. You can proceed.
Thank you very much, James. At first, I didn't know you were speaking about me because I didn't know you can attribute so many things to me. But it's truly an honor to be here. I know you guys had asked me previously, and I wasn't in a position to speak, but now the time has come. Um, and it's really an honor for me to be here to speak with you about my career journey and how I got to where I am now. As James has said, we did have some interactions that I remember very fondly. I also felt privileged that you guys trusted me to approach me and to have the interactions that we did that resulted in what is happening now. And I am hoping that you will gain something of value from what we are about to share together. Tell me, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
The one I'm sharing, right? Okay, let
Um,
me, which one are you seeing?
we are
Or
seeing
what can you see?
a great, beautiful icon. I think it's a forest.
The sky, horizon.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of you might have read the post that I put up on LinkedIn about walking with my neighbors. What you're seeing on the screen here is actually the part of the route that we follow through the forest. And this morning we actually did it. So what I will do is allow me to share my screen so that to turn on my camera briefly so that you guys can see me in case I've not interacted with you. So my name is Michael Moite, as has been indicated by James, and I'm currently working at Oracle. And I am going to go ahead and turn off my video. I do see there are quite a few of you on the screen, so I think we are not going to have an opportunity to have introductions. Otherwise, it's going to take a bit of time. But thank you so much for being here. Let me just put my presentation in presenter mode. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I really thought of putting this up first on the screen because I took this picture in Entebbe. And what you can see here is this green leafy plant growing out of the wall, literally. So in the face of great adversity, it still found a way to bloom, as you can see. And it's coming out against a wall. It also reflects one of my passions. I like photography, but I haven't always been comfortable expressing the fact that I like photography. And I will explain why. So as has been said, I am Michael, working at Oracle currently. One of the things that I'm going to be talking about that is of importance is being able to join other organizations outside of work. So I'm a member of Toastmasters. I believe everybody here knows Toastmasters. ISACA and IC Squared. I at some point had a certification from ISACA, and now I have the CISSP from ISC Squared. It has proven to be very, very important when I'm having a conversation with my customers. So what you're looking at here is really a progression of, or a depiction of how I started out career-wise. And starting here on the left, you see this symbol, and I really enjoyed the discussions you guys were having about branding, because what you're looking at here are representation of several brands or companies that have had the good fortune to work at. When I went to the US in the early 90s, I went as a student trying to pursue my second degree in IT. And I really did not have any money with me except for paying the first term fees. And I needed money badly. And of course, I didn't want to go and start robbing people in that country. So I had to find a way to make a living. Can you all hear me? Everybody can hear me
Yeah,
clearly?
yeah.
And so I went looking for a job, especially after I spoke to some of the Kenyan students who are going to the university that I had enrolled at. And they told me of this place where I could go and find a job or get a job. And so I'm happy to tell you that my first job in the US was a very fancy one. I was actually a petroleum products transfer engineer. That's a fancy way of saying I was a petrol station attendant. At this particular place that you're seeing here on the screen, I don't know whether you can see my pointer.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yes,
It's
sir.
visible.
It's visible. Yes, so I got a job as a petroleum products transfer engineer, or in layman's language, a petrol station attendant. And it was a very rough job, not as fancy as I'm making it sound. But I learned some lessons there about sales, because as we sold petrol to customers, we also had to try to convince them to buy oil for the engine, perhaps some brake fluid or some other product. And I found out that in this particular company, if you attained a grade of a C and above, they actually reimbursed you or gave you back some of the money you had paid for your tuition. Like I said, it was a very tough job, especially in winter. Believe it or not, when I bought my first Timberland boots when I was working there because I was freezing, I wasn't trying to make a fashion statement. I just was freezing so much that I needed a sturdy pair of boots, and Timberlands just fitted the bill very well. So after working at this particular petrol station for a while, I did find some other jobs in related to sales. So I was selling IT equipment, computers, printers, all kinds of things. And I worked in various retail outlets, just trying to make sure that I stuck within the IT space, because I had zero experience working in an IT firm. And therefore, I knew one way that I could get the experience is by working in those sales environments. And eventually, that paid off, because I got a job at the same university where I graduated from, which was William Patterson University. And I went to work there in the IT department. And that is the first time that I came across something that maybe you guys will never see. But how many of you here have heard of a mainframe? How many people here have heard of a mainframe computer? Sam, have you ever heard of a mainframe computer?
Yeah, sure. I've heard of it.
It's really old, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's the first time all the student records were stored in that particular system. It was quite old. Even by our standards at the time, it was quite archaic. But what I found fascinating at the time is the fact that the students who are attending the university, just like I did, used to be given a card that they could go and swipe before they went to, if they wanted to get some food at the cafeteria and things like that. Those were some of the privileges that the citizens of the US were enjoying at the time, and the students were enjoying. But I also found out that some people would attempt to get the meal cards fraudulently by pretending to be people who they were not. So at the beginning of the year, we used to get a file called the Dead People's File, and it has a unique identifier they call the Social Security number. And we would write some code, some program to compare the students who had applied and against the dead people's files. And of course, if there was a match, we realized that somebody was trying to use a dead person's identifier to try and get a meal card. So that was the first time that I sort of started to look at the fact that people could attempt fraud and IT could be used to solve that problem. So I worked at Merck for a while, at William Patterson University for a while. Then I went to work for a pharmaceutical company called Merck. Do you see this simple looking green logo?
Yeah.
I can tell you that when I started working at this farm, that's when I realized the power of a brand and how companies really, really attempt to protect their brands. We used to build websites, interactive sites for different departments in the company. Our department was known as Creative Services, and I got exposure to so many different things, things that actually even today help me in my current job. And I remember distinctly when we would attempt to get this logo and put it in some document, you couldn't just take that logo and put it somewhere without first clearing with the legal, with compliance teams to make sure that that logo, the version that you are trying to use, is the approved one. So this company protected its logo so much. And I realized it was part of its branding strategy. Now, Merck Pharmaceuticals obviously was a very established company. It's still around today. Obviously, it's headquartered in the US, and they manufacture medicines, all types of medicines. And after leaving that company, I went to work for a startup company where we were developing a SaaS solution. And the SaaS solution that we were developing, people used to subscribe to it. We had our own data center where we hosted this particular solution. And then we had different companies subscribe to it, pay a subscription fee to use it. And I can tell you for free, I had no idea that SaaS or software as a service was going to be one of the components of cloud computing that was gonna blow up. I just knew that I was working on this cutting edge technology, and the solution that we were developing seemed to be very popular, especially with non-profit organizations which were based in the US but were operating in the rest of the world, and they didn't want to set up IT systems, say in Africa or Asia, where they were operating. And the particular solution we were working on was in the space of recruitment. So a lot of our customers were recruiters or firms that wanted us to help them with the recruitment process. And our competitor was a product which later was acquired by Oracle many, many years later. So that was a very, very exciting job. Working in a startup is very different from working in an established company. And sometimes if you're coming from an established company and you're going to work in a startup, you have to really, really rethink or come up with a different way of thinking, because a startup kind of works differently from a very, very established company. So we are talking about Merck, which was many years old, perhaps over 100 years old, and then the startup had just recently been setup. I really enjoyed that particular job because I was a developer and we were exposed to different tools that we could use in the development process. But that type of job entailed really sitting at your desk, perhaps listening to your favorite music as you wrote code. And by the time I was coming back to Kenya to come start working for Oracle, I needed a different set of skills. And that is when actually I started thinking of branding, personal branding. When I worked at Silk Road Technologies, I was a developer. I didn't have to interface with people outside. It was not a client-facing role. I never had to do presentations. All I had to do was deliver the code that I was asked to develop. So when I got the job at Oracle before I came back home, I realized that one of the things that I needed to do as part of this job was to go out and speak to many people, do presentations in industry events, in hotels, travel to East African countries, really just doing presentations, meeting customers, presenting to them. And that is when I thought of joining Toastmasters. So I joined Toastmasters in the US as part of preparation of coming home. And that is where I also saw the power of public speaking. And that is why when I speak to Sam, James, Howard, I tell them, guys, please, your public speaking skills, you have to bring them up, because for you to stand out from the other people, you have to be able to express them yourself very clearly, very well, in a manner that can be understood. And that is certainly the case for me. It has really helped me because when I speak to customers, I have to translate technical stuff to things that they can understand or tie it to the challenges they are having, and tell them how the technology that we sell is going to help them to solve their problem. So moving from Silk Road to Oracle entailed a different set of skills. It entailed a different me. And that is why I emphasize knowing public speaking. If you get an opportunity to do soft skill training, how to write effectively, always take it. There is a lot of technical information out here, as you all know. We are all competing to give you technical information, the oracles of this world, the Microsofts, the Amazons, the Googles. But the soft skills, perhaps not so much. And also there are not too many people who are talking to you about how do you transition from, say, a university setting to a working space, and how do you manage that transition. And that is the area that I tend to focus on, because I realize technology or technical information, there is a lot of it. So far so good. Are you all still with me? Have I put anybody to sleep?
No, sir, we are following.
Very, very much awake.
Fantastic.
We are here.
So, as has been mentioned, I've been with Oracle for about almost 15 years now, which actually seems like a very long time, especially to people your age, because when you start off in companies, you don't stay very long. But for some reason, I have really been able to stay at Oracle because I do a job that is very interesting to me, and I get to interact with different types of individuals. Before we could travel, right now we're not traveling as much, but the traveling also helps because you get to interact with people of different cultures, and really just showcase the wonderful technology solutions that we have. So as I stayed in Oracle, over time, I have developed relations in social circles. And this is something that somebody mentioned earlier on about, networking, about developing your brand. Someone said that, was it Awad, that your job came to you via LinkedIn, correct? Somebody reached out to you.
Yep.
Well, you mentioned that, or James mentioned that I'm a member of a board of microfinance. That position is not something I applied for. It's just that somebody spoke my name in a room that I was not in simply because of my name, my brand. And then I started the process of applying to join the board of this Sumac Microfinance. And there is a lesson there that I would like to share with you all today. In the course of me, after I was nominated or requested to join the board of this particular organization, the Central Bank of Kenya had to vet me, because when you join the board of a financial institution, they have to do a background check. They actually go ahead and really dig into your background. They want to find out whether you are really an outstanding citizen like you claim to be. They want certificate of good conduct. They want to know where have you worked before. They want some information from your referees. They want to know which other entities you are associated with. And the lesson that I can share with you all that I got from that is, please, please, please protect your name, protect your brand. That is the thing that's going to help you. Now, if in the course of my career, maybe at Oracle, I had done some shady things, first of all, I would not be able to get into this board position. And being on the board of a financial institution is very exciting. It's also a place that where you sit and you can see people making decisions that will affect so many other people, that can potentially cost the organization millions of shillings. It's a very, very interesting place to be. I get to interact with the founders of the bank, the chairman, and that is a whole different ball game. It requires all the things that I have learned over time: how to communicate professionally, how to write professionally, and how to carry myself and conduct myself in a manner that says, hey, I belong here. I belong in this room. I belong on this table. So what I'm trying to say is, in very few words, when you start being at the level of occupying a board position as a director, it means they're recognizing there is something of value that you're bringing there. And I know from where you're sitting, you might be saying, oh my God, why is this guy telling us all these things about boards and things like that? Very simply, I'm trying to say, protect your name, protect your brand. If you're associating with people that might pollute your brand, please disassociate yourself from them. Protect your brand. Grow your social circle. So for example, on LinkedIn, I think Sam and James can share with you the journey that we took there, because we took it together. And even for me, I didn't start out knowing what LinkedIn was, what it was about. But over time, I've come to appreciate the power of LinkedIn, especially if you set yourself up in a professional way. And that is something that James and team can share with you how we did it. But the biggest lesson that I have gotten is just the fact that your brand is important. I heard you guys talk about the different brands that are out there, so you have a good understanding of what branding is. Allow me to share a small story that happened to me. Sometime back, I wanted to know how I can present myself as a rounded individual, not just this one guy who has been working at Oracle for a donkey years. I wanted to establish a few other things about myself, so that when I'm putting myself out there, I'm not just the Oracle guy, I'm other things. And I came across a lady called Njeri Gadhi, and she has done an engaged talk about personal branding. And I wanted to just, James, can you hear me?
Yeah.
How do I write something, a note here that you guys can see?
So there's a section for in-call messages. That's
Mhm,
on the far right.
mhm.
Yeah, you can
You can
just
tell that I don't use the okay. Anyway, I will share with you and then you can share with the attendees. But I was curious about delving a little bit deeper into personal branding. So I watched this lady's Engage talk. So her first name is Njeri and the last one is Gadi. That's Gathii. And she did an Engage talk, which is out on YouTube on personal branding. And then later on, I engaged her to try and see how could I work with her because she's a personal branding coach. And we had a series of engagements of about 6 weeks, out of which I came out with the understanding or having done a bit of introspection and understanding that, hey, I am more than just the Oracle guy or somebody who does who works for Oracle, does security related things. And if you look at some of the things that I'm posting recently on LinkedIn, they reflect that. So, for example, I chose to write about the work that I do because that work reflects some of the things that I do as a work-life balance measure. I would encourage you all, if you have a hobby, please don't let it go. Immerse yourself in your hobby. That is the thing that gives you a balance in your life. That's also what I came to establish about myself. I like photography, and so I make sure that I can showcase that, I can share that with you. I also like, exercise, hiking, and if I find a way to incorporate that into the discussions that I have with guys like you or any other people, then it's fine. That's who I am. So you have to be unapologetically you. In fact, it's very easy to be yourself rather than be somebody else. So as I went through that journey with Jerry, it was a way of uncovering other skills that I may have. I like to write. I haven't been writing a lot, but it's something that I would also encourage you, if you have another skill other than IT skill, also hone it. Also, when you are your age, it's good to learn different things so that when you are having conversations with people, you are current on what is happening around you, what is happening in the world, because that is, you will be surprised that what you learn now might not be what you end up doing as your career. So what I would advise you to do is don't feel like, oh my God, I just need to focus on this one thing. It's also good to know other things because you never know where they will come in handy. I think Sam, you and I were talking about when you're working in a place, also trying to understand why do the people that where you are working, what makes them get out of bed in the morning? What is the value they bring to their customers, for example? You learn about the
Yeah,
product,
sure. Really important.
right? So you learn about the products that they develop, so that you can also try to explain to them, or when they listen to you, you say, "Oh, this guy understands our business. He knows why we are here." And so that was the end result of my discussion or my interaction with Jerry, the personal branding coach, because I could see that I needed to also learn a little bit more about myself and the space that I was in to prepare myself for these other roles that are coming. So, what I would say, what next? Know yourself. Sam and team, we went through this. It's good for you to understand yourself, to know yourself. What is your personality type? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Where does your energy come from? There is a book called Do What You Are. and it talks about the different types of personalities out there and the types of jobs that are suited to those personalities. I am an introvert. I feel very comfortable being by myself and doing the things that I do. Some people are extroverts. There are certain jobs that suit them very well. It's very good for you to know yourself, because once you know yourself, you become comfortable with yourself. You know what you're comfortable with, and therefore you're able to navigate life without too much stress. I always say leverage professional social sites like LinkedIn. Right now, LinkedIn is quite big, and you've heard a testimony here that somebody got a job from there just because of the way he branded himself, how he set up his profile, and you can do it yourself as well if you have not gotten to that point. And there are ways that I can assist. I think Sam and Tim can tell you how if you have not done it. And then lastly, network, network, network. Grow your social circles. Find network with people with, different, who are a bit different from yourself, because opportunities come from your networks. I told you how somebody asked me to join the board of a microfinance. It was from one of my networks, from somebody that I associate with, somebody who has seen me in professional circles, in social circles, and felt comfortable to recommend me for that position at the board. So get out there, network with people. I like what you're doing right now with this Cloud Resource Academy. It's a fantastic initiative. It's a very good way to build your network and network with like-minded people. So, of course, I emphasize the need to have hobbies. So for me, it's hiking and photography. And you can see some of the pictures that I've taken here over time with my phone camera. And some of these are the places that I walk every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And I also would tell you that learning is a lifelong endeavor. Keep learning. If I trace back to when I started my IT journey, all the things that I learned back in the day are outdated. If I tell you some of them, you'll just laugh. But what I have tried to do is keep myself updated. So you have to be able to learn and unlearn some things. And that is certainly what is reflected there on the screen. And I thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk to you this evening. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to James. If there are any questions that I'm able to answer, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Michael. This is amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, I see there's a couple of hands. I saw Charlotte, and there's also Wekesa. So yeah, if you got any question, kindly unmute and ask our speaker. We can start with okay, I see Wekesa.
Thank you so much, James, for this opportunity. Our speaker for today, I commend you so much for the insight you've given us. My 2 points are direct. The first one is, I love the fact that you've talked about your humble beginnings. You know, most people, you always forget that before you get from point A to point B, you must come from somewhere. You started from a humble beginning, from a, should I say, petroleum engineer in quotes, to where you are at the moment. At least you highlighted that people can see where you've come from. And the last thing is, you've talked about networking. It is underestimated. I don't know why it's underestimated by many people, but it really works. I will say for all my jobs that I've done, all of them, it's through networking, through people whom we've interacted, and then they've known I'm capable of doing one or two things. So the moment somebody asks them, do you know who can do this? I'm the first person that rings in their mind. So networking is very key. And thank you so much, guys, for organizing this session.
Nice. Thank you so much, Wekesa. And I totally agree with you because, okay, for me, I'm a solution architect at Silicon Overdrive. And guys, what I did was before getting this job, I went direct to the CEO of Silicon Overdrive via LinkedIn and texted him over my skills, my capabilities, and the next day I received a call. Just like that, I ended up with this job. So thank you so much, Wekesa. That was great. Any other question? Any comment? Hi, Albert. Okay. Charlotte.
Yes, I'm around, but then the question was answered mid-session. So, but it was a lovely session. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. And also, as Michael was sharing, there are some links that ZP and I shared in the link. One is for that is Jerry Gazi that Michael was talking about, and two, it's the 16 personality check or rather test that you can do to find out your personality type. So if you've not done that, it's a great tool to use so that you can actually know your personality and know where you fit in. Thank you, Favor Bianzi. Hey, Favor. Sorry, I think that was a mistake. I see Wekesa, you still have your hand up. So kindly unmute and talk. Hello, guys.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It was a bad dial. Sorry.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Okay. Any comment, any last questions to our speaker before we call it a session?
Okay, Juma, just mine from my side is just comments. I think these I can't allow these to close without mentioning or just giving a testimony of how interacting with Mr. Michael has helped me, and it builds to what the discussion that he has been emphasizing on networking, especially. So myself, I also just texted Mr. Mike back in 2021 in April. I was on attachment that time. I was really lost, but I texted Mr. Mwite and just asked for guidance. And I never knew that was going to be the beginning of a really transformative journey in my life. So from there, he mentored me around now creating a personal brand, and that has really helped me. Just maybe 3 months after we started that journey, that's when I landed my first role, my first cloud job with a Nigerian company, and it was purely through networking. Through LinkedIn, I connected with a friend. This friend connected with another friend, and that friend shared a job position. Okay, and I'm glad that all those friends are here. Bruna, shout out. Yeah, that's how that just shows that networking can really build you up a pipeline, or your network is the security that you can have for your job. So, and then after that, I can tell a whole story. It's been a journey, but in all these steps that I've made, it has been courtesy of just knowing people, having the right information at the right time, and that can just happen if you have the right network. Thanks, Mr. Michael, and always a pleasure to have you around. Be blessed.
You're very welcome. And I have to tell you this, I have also learned a lot from interacting with all of you in the sense that you gave me an opportunity to bring in some speakers to share their career journeys with you. And as they were sharing their career journeys, I was learning as well. So thank you very much, and always a pleasure. And I know that you guys are destined for great things.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael. I see we have one more question from Stanley. Kindly unmute and ask your question or comment.
Okay, thank you so much, James. And Michael, thank you. This was really an informative session. Personally, I've truly learned a lot, and I truly appreciate. So mine is a quick one. Mine is on public speaking. I personally feel like I should really work on my public speaking skills. So I would love to ask, do you have any materials maybe that you would tell someone to use, or you would give out so that they can work on their public speaking skills, or we just I just go on YouTube and Google stuff? Thank you.
So Stanley, thank you so much for your question. I'm glad that you found the session informative. Indeed, you have said something that a lot of people also struggle with. In fact, it has said that the number one fear of most people is not death. It's being asked to go and stand up and speak in public. And so just, I'm trying to comfort you, you're not alone. As far as public speaking, I can tell you for free that if you're able to find a chapter of Toastmasters and join it, it's a very nice way to learn public speaking without a lot of pressure, because you're also among people who are also trying to learn. Give you an example. Today I was invited to participate in a Toastmasters session virtually with my club that is based in Malaga, Spain. And you are doing an international speech competition. They invited me to speak. And I could hear some of them speaking in Spanish. Of course, I don't speak Spanish. I know a few words. But what I'm trying to say is even the humble Toastmasters that you see here can take you very far. I know that the team here, some of them are members of Toastmasters, so they can share with you more information about it. But I also recommended it to them and they joined. And I think they have seen the value and can attest to how helpful it is. So Stanley, I would just say find the nearest Toastmasters chapter near you. So it's the word Toast and then Masters together. It's a non-profit organization headquartered in the US, but there are several chapters here, including in JQuat. I know there are several in town. It's a very, very frictionless way of learning public speaking. I hope that helps. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you so much, Stanley, for that great question. And if you need more clarification, you can kindly contact us after this, because yeah, as Michael has said, there's a club in JQuat. It's you usually have our meetings on Wednesday. That's from 7 to 9 p.m. And it's great to be among such a community, seeing your peer growing in public speaking, and also just being present and doing, the speeches and all that. So if you need more of that, kindly contact us after this meeting. Finally, we can have Bruna Kibali. I think he has a question or a comment on that. Hi, Bruna.
Yes. Hi, James. So, Michael, thank you for the very insightful session. So, my question to you is, what is your secret to closing commercial deals? Like, what is your secret sauce to actually excelling in the business world?
Okay, Bruna, thank you so much for your question. And That's a very good question. I think that it's really not a secret, but there is a method to it. And it is actually going in and understanding the potential customer that you're trying to sell to, is doing a lot of listening and understanding what challenges it is that they want to address. What are the challenges they are having? I'll give you an example. You could find a customer who is in a very critical industry like financial services, and they need a place to store critical data. So if you listen to them very carefully and you understand their needs, and then you position to them the solution that will meet that need, and you explain to them the value that they will get out of it, then they are very comfortable getting the solution from you. And they also see you as a trusted advisor. So in future, when they are embarking on other projects, they will say, hey, by the way, that gentleman, Bruna, he gave us some good advice. Let's ask him or consult him about this other project that you want to do. So it's really being very consultative, paying attention, listening to them, asking questions that will allow them to do as much talking as possible to share the challenges they are having. And once you understand their challenges very well and you give them the solution to that challenge, then you achieve, it's a win-win. They get the solution and you get to make money. I hope that has answered your question.
Yes. Yeah, that answers my question.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Bruna.
You're very welcome.
Any other question before we call it a session? Okay. Once again, and
Okay.
thank you
Juma,
so
Juma,
much.
let me allow me to disrupt you before you finish.
Okay.
Maybe just sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, just an announcement. So we have our, I know most of you know, you've seen it on LinkedIn, we posted it. We have our physical meetup, the second one in a